So it's Billingsgate Fish Market that we're talking about, which is located in Poplar, East London. The gate bit in Billingsgate probably refers to a water gate on the south side of the city where all the fish would be imported to. It's thought that it was a gate that effectively belonged to a guy called Billing. The 12th century historian Geoffrey of Monmouth claimed that it was named after an ancient mythological Roman king. Given that the original site of Billingsgate was within the city before it moved to Poplar, and obviously the City of London, the City of London is steeped in Roman settlement. Yeah, I mean, it's quite possible that there was some kind of Roman influence on the name. But yeah, again, this is all speculation. There'd always been a Billingsgate Fish Market in 16th and 17th centuries. Back then, it was just this bunch of sheds. But those sheds kind of helped to shelter the tradesmen there while they sold their wares. The market sold more things than fish, so iron, coal, pottery, wine, salt. But then it just eventually over the years moved towards being exclusively a fish market. An Act of Parliament in 1699 passed a law saying it would be a free and open market for all sorts of fish whatsoever. However, the only water animal prohibited for sale was the humble eel, and that was because the sale of the eel was restricted to the Dutch fishermen who had their boats moored in the Thames. This was because apparently the Dutch helped to feed the people of London during the Great Fire. So that sounds to me like possibly some kind of reward, some kind of thank you. However, if anybody is able to verify that, then let me know. So the market sells fish from all over the world and has an annual turnover apparently of 200 million. It feels high, but who knows really. I'm not their accountant. This is a really nice fact. Billingsgate, the term, or Billingsgate discourse, is something of a byword for foul and vulgar language. So all of the local women, or the fishwives, did all of the filleting and pickling on Lower Thames Street. Obviously, being a woman who sold fish or who dealt in that whole market, had to very much rely on their voices to carry above probably the racket of the market, possibly also distinguish themselves as a minority community by using a certain type of vulgar language, something to help them stand out. The fishwives at Billingsgate did, after all, rely on their voices and their cadence to distinguish themselves, so that anybody, walking past would know that they were walking past the Billingsgate fishwives. So yeah, I guess it was probably a very strong and important linguistic marker of the time. For the record, the vernacular, or the kind of local dialect, if you like, in contrast to the kind of national standard, so maybe, for example, Cockney English versus the Queen's English. Within those linguistic groups, it's generally more common for men to speak with a vernacular dialect, or to move closer to a vernacular dialect, and more common for women to kind of hark towards the standard. Well, it's linguistic concepts called overt and covert prestige, but I might do a video on it. But the point is, one thing I kind of noticed just from my own sort of personal experience is that sometimes, women will say they are in a group of men who are using a kind of vernacular or more local dialect in order to be, kind of tribal. The women will also, I believe, will also somewhat converge, i.e. copy the mannerisms more, especially when they are in a minority. However, this is just a theory that I'm playing with and could be merely baseless armchair linguistics. George Orwell was supposed to have worked as a porter there. However, this theory is contested. It is also thought that one night, George Orwell spent the night in Bethnal Green police station, and he gave a false name, Edward Burton, and said that he'd been disowned by his parents, surviving off the little work that he could get at Billingsgate Fish Market. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but you probably couldn't get away with telling those kind of porcupines today. The famous East End boxers, Ronnie and Reggie Cray, also were supposed to have worked there, with Reggie selling fish and Ronnie moving empty crates of boxes that used to contain fish. There was a particular type of hat that traders at Billingsgate would wear called a bobbin, and they kind of had these rectangular tops and were extremely hard wearing and made of very, very strong materials. And the idea was that, that the tradesmen would wear bobbins in order to carry around the crates of fish on their heads. Apparently some of these boxes could weigh as much as 12 stone, which is far more than what I weigh. So it would have been difficult, to say the least, to carry something around on your head unless you had adequate protection. And into each hat went 5 pounds of hardened leather, 6 yards of wax, and 400 nails. You can imagine they were very, very big and very, very hard wearing indeed. The hat's name bobbin was supposed to refer to bobbin, meaning payment, which the porters who wore the hats would receive when they brought the fish into the market and sold it to the traders. I couldn't find any strong etymology around where the term bobbin comes from. Obviously, bobbin is probably where we get bob, as in the two bob people that would sit at the back of the theatre, or yeah, you can make a few bob out of that sort of thing. That concludes my video on Billingsgate Fish Market. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to hear more of this type of stuff, then subscribe. And obviously if you don't, then don't.